What's going on, guys? My name is Triforce Addiction. Welcome back to another COD mobile video. So today, I do want to discuss the patch notes. So this is kind of going to be a very quick video because it's late at night. It's 4:43 a.m. as of recording. And I do actually want to go through these changes because they are a little bit interesting, but I didn't want to go through the entire process of editing and just doing all that stuff because, I don't want to waste all that time. But the changes that we do have here are actually very, very interesting. So let's actually start off. So this guy, his name is Bebbles or Yapao Pebbles. This guy has been pretty active around leakers on duty. I would say he's one of the more recent members who has been leaking a lot of information. And this guy is credible. So trust me on this. So first off, we are going to discuss the new signature attachment. So this is going to be added for the Man of War. Of course, these are called Thermite rounds. It slows down the enemies and inflicts damage over time. It reduces the ammo capacity and can no longer penetrate materials. So I think the way that this will work is that maybe there will be some recoil downsides, but I think this might actually give the weapon the ability to two-shot, but only over time. So let's say you do land those two shots. It's probably not going to kill the enemy immediately, but it's most likely going to kill them over time. So let's say you cannot complete the kill, they kill you, you will take them down with them. So yes, I think that's my prediction for the thing. But having attachments like this, well, to have less ammo for it, it might not be that big of a deal. But of course, this is something that we're probably going to have to see. So next off, we do have the QXR Buff. So this... they made some pretty interesting changes, and I did make a comment here. So what they did is that they increased the stomach multiplier from, I guess, 1.0 times to 1.1 times, and they also improved the BSA by a massive amount. Of course, the drawback is that they actually adjusted the range, so now it has slightly less, at least when it comes to the first and second, but it actually does have more on the third. So it went down from 8 meters on the first and down by 2 meters on the second. But another upside is the fact that they actually reduced the base ADS time by 16%. And what I mean by base ADS time, basically just the gun's overall ADS time without the need of attachments. So this is going to be a much faster gun, and this is well deserved because the QXR, even if you use it right now, is actually probably one of the heavier SMGs. So this might actually balance it out a little bit more. As for it being meta, I'm not really that sure how it's going to turn out. But anyways, let's move on to the next one. Where is it? So here is the HBR 556 buff. So the 30 and the 60 round F556 mags, they increase the lower arm multiplier from 1 times to 1.1 times. So it's going to be a little bit more consistent with its 4-shot. And they also reduce the ADS time penalty from from 12% to 6% and added a 12% reload time penalty. So another good change, of course, with an added downside, but trust me, I think this is going to be well worth it. And a reload speed like that isn't really going to matter too much. Obviously, there could have been other changes such as, vertical recoil or horizontal recoil. I think that would have been a little bit better as well. But yeah, I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference with this one. So now moving on to the Mac10 Buff. So the range got increased from 71420 to 81620. So the third range is the only one that gets untouched. But the bullet speed also did get increased from 300 meters per second to 400 meters per second. So you're looking up at about maybe, I don't know, like 600 to 700 meters per second if you do want to use the task force barrel. So this is a massive upside for this gun now. I think it's something that it actually deserves. But of course, the question of whether or not it's being meta, it may not be to that point, but it might actually push it a little bit further up. And this is something that the Mac10 probably needs at this point. So now we also move on to the MX9. This one also did get a buff. The range got increased by 1 meter on the first and 2 meters on the second and another 2 meters on the third. And they also reduced the horizontal recoil, so it's going to be a little bit more steadier. And they also lowered the they increased the lower arm multiplier to 1.14 times. So this might make it easier to 4 or maybe even 5 shot at longer ranges, which is something that this gun definitely needs because it's extremely weak right now. So now let's move on to the next weapon. So the CAN44, they reduce the horizontal recoil. Nothing really crazy. I mean, the gun doesn't really have that much recoil in the first place, but whatever. So here we have the HBR A3 buff. So the lower arm multipliers got increased from 1 times to 1.2 times. So maybe within the second range or wherever it stops becoming a 4-shot kill, it might actually be more efficient in the longer ranges. So I guess that's a good change, but I don't really think it's going to do much for the weapon. So now we also have the DRH nerf, reduced headshot multiplier from 1.55 times to 1.5 times. So basically, with or without the OTM mag, you can no longer 2-shot. So it's kind of back to where it was previously from season 2. So yeah, the DRH is no longer going to be the top weapon. So now we also have the Odin buff. So upper arm multiplier increased from 1.05 times. So this is going to be, I guess, a much more efficient 2-shot weapon within the ranges where you could actually 2-shot. So I guess that's a pretty good upside for the Odin itself. So I'm not really sure how effective this is going to be, but maybe it's going to help the weapon significantly. So for the Brewing MK9 buff, well, this post actually has 2 buffs. So they increased the range from 1538 to 2038. So basically the initial range where you're actually able to 4-shot with the weapon, you're now going to be able to 4-shot at a greater distance. And for the Dingle buff, the bullet speed increased from 800 meters per second to 1,000 meters per second. So this is a pretty massive one, especially for the Dingle. I know a lot of people kind of hate this one. For me personally, I'm actually kind of a big fan of this weapon, but having a change like this, and given that there's not really a lot of attachments that can increase the bullet speed, this is a huge benefit to the weapon. So the Shikon buff, I did actually had to research this one before recording the video to see what it actually did. So for the stomach multiplier, it increased from 1 times to 1.05 times. Basically what this does, it actually makes it a little bit easier to 3-shot within the first range. So now you could actually 3-shot in the stomach as well. So now for the OTS-9, the range increase went from 9/18/23 to 11/18/23. So basically the first range, so nothing really crazy, I would say. The stomach multiplier was also increased from 0.9 times to 1.1 times. So the 4-shot efficiency is going to be a little bit better at longer ranges. So now for the operator skills, the ballistic shield went from 35 seconds to 25 seconds duration. The ballistic shield, I'm assuming this has to do with the one where you actually use a gun. I don't think this has to do with the little bull charge thing. So basically, this is something that really needed to change because this thing was absolute bullshit. If you guys have ever been hit by this, they seem to have possession of this operator skill for a very long time. I think there was a moment in time where I actually ended up dying like 3 times in a row against someone who continued to have it. And it's kind of crazy how this was 35 seconds, but it felt way longer. But I'm happy a change like this is happening. As for the equalizer, the damage reduction goes from 30% to 25%. So this has nothing to do with the damage that it deals towards the enemy. It's more about the damage that you actually take as the player. So if someone's shooting at you, they're going to be able to kill you a little bit quicker. Not too much, but just a little bit quicker. So now let's see if there's any other changes. So score streaks, the Hawk X3, the price increased from $750 to $830. I mean, I don't really see a lot of people using this anyways. The Wilson firing interval went from 0.8 seconds to 0.6 seconds, so it's going to be able to shoot a little bit quicker. The concussion grenade, I guess they buffed it. The effect duration now lasts from 2.5 seconds to 3 seconds. What else? Cluster grenade, the damage went up by a little bit. So the damage it went from 20 to 30 to 25 to 34. This might actually make it a lot more effective when you're trying to take out an enemy. I mean, it's a little bit more effective now, but I don't think it's really enough to kill a good amount of enemies, or even just a single enemy. So this might actually solidify its, I guess, better potential, I would say. So the Vulture perk healing went from, oh my god. So the Vulture perk healing from 20 HP to 30 HP. So that's actually kind of crazy. I mean, I don't know how this works really, but if anything, like, I think it just activates the quick fix effect. Usually when you pick up a pack, it usually kind of just heals you anyways. So this might actually accelerate the healing a little bit more, but I think it's a little bit much. And it kind of does make quick fix, as this guy says, a joke. So yeah, let's see if there's any other changes. This can't be all the changes, right? There has to be some for Battle Royale. Okay, there has actually some changes. I actually completely missed the Thermite. So the damage radius did get increased a little bit. The impact damage goes from 30 to 35. So this is basically when they actually hit you in the face with it. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit more damaging, and the burn damage goes from 30 to 20. So basically kind of just like another Molotov. I think this is kind of like to balance things out to make it just as effective, if not more effective, than the Molotov. So it's kind of being brought back to how it was in its toxic state back in the day. But I think the only difference is that it doesn't slow down your movement. So that's the only difference that you're really going to see. But hopefully it's not going to be too toxic. Maybe in shipment it's probably going to be at its worst. But in other maps, I don't really see that happening. So let's see. So I'm hoping that there's no more changes other than that. So yeah, I think... Hold on, let me check Discord real quick. Let me see. So really nothing. Hold on, it's connecting. So yeah, they're just talking about the Thermite rounds. They still have to do that whole little, I guess, black picture with all the changes, but it's good to get changes from this guy first because he usually does it really quickly. So yeah, anyways, I guess that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe for some more COD mobile content. I'll see you guys next time.